Wild Ride on the Mighty Winds. There is a man who lives in a remote region of the desert southwest of the United States. He is rumored to be a very old man. He is rarely seen by visitors. No one knows his name. He probably has no name. This is the story of a gentleman who met him one day. No one is exactly sure where the meeting took place or what subjects, if any, were discussed on the date in question. All that we know for sure is that there are several credible eyewitness accounts of the events which I shall describe to you in this narrative. Not one word has been changed from its original context, nor can any of the events in question be verified conclusively by any outside source. There is no concrete explanation for what has allegedly occurred either. Without further ado, I offer the tale to you now as I've heard it told to me and to others. The story begins on an unseasonably warm late afternoon in December. It was perhaps the second or third day of the month, and the year was sometime during the early to mid-1980s. A man in his early 30s, we'll call him John, had been suffering from assorted ills from his late adolescence onward up to the date in question. These ills included migraine headaches, back trouble, sinus problems, joint discomfort, and occasional bowel irregularities. John had heard tell of a medicine man who lived not 30 miles from his home in northwestern Arizona, although there is much dispute over the location involved. No matter, let us continue. The old man had accrued quite a reputation as an herbalist and an unconventional healer. He apparently had fixed up John with a mass of herbs that had led to only marginal healing processes. The younger man had not been terribly pleased with the results which he had experienced during the early stages of his treatment, as it were. The old healer had then suggested certain changes in John's diet and exercise regimen, which seemed to help somewhat, but within a short time poor John was back to facing his daily aches and pains with little relief in sight. Then legend has it that the mysterious herbalist prescribed some sort of drink for John. It was a super protein drink, laced with all kinds of minerals and micronutrients, that kind of thing. Supposedly, there had been a special ingredient in the concoction, or a mess of several such ingredients, which perhaps amounts to one and the same thing. The old man had been rumored by those who knew him best to be the only one on earth who had the recipe for this magic elixir. Well, be that as it may, within a matter of days, mind you, John's health concerns had allegedly all but taken flight. He had become, in the words of some of his closest friends and acquaintances, a sort of super being overnight. His girlfriend at the time, a frail bird of Scotch-Irish extraction named Tina, had even feared making love to him anymore. This is supposedly because the changes in his overall health and physiology had become so pronounced. Soon after John had begun taking the liquid cure that the herbalist had prescribed for him, the old man had practically vanished from the face of the earth. John was never able to contact him again, nor has the elder healer ever been heard from or seen by anyone since that time. John was somewhat worried that the effects of the elixir would eventually wear off. After all, the old man had never told him what would happen if he stopped taking the stuff. Time went by, and John's health neither improved nor degenerated. It didn't have to. He had become strong as any 12 men and swifter than a cheetah. His eyesight had improved to the point that he could read street signs from as far away as 3 miles. This fact had later been verified independently by his own previously skeptical optometrist, as well as other scientifically trained disbelievers. John's physical strength and endurance, as well as his mental agility at the time, had grown by leaps and bounds. Everyone who'd met him then had been amazed by his superhuman feats and versatile talents. And he never seemed to let his increased powers go to his head either. There have been no known cases of torch-wielding mobs looking to tar and feather John, although there has been tittle-tattle about unfortunate incidents which would occasionally plague him concerning alleged run-ins with loudmouths and pranksters. No Death to Frankenstein scenarios have come out as yet either, so I'll drop the subject altogether. Nothing worth mentioning on that front exists in the John files, at least to my knowledge. It must be pointed out that John was not without his lighter moments. He did seem to possess a bit of a bizarre sense of humor. Like the time he stepped in front of an 18-wheel truck barreling down the roadway, just for ha-has. John escaped with only minor injuries, a few superficial scratches and dings supposedly, all of which had healed virtually without a trace within a matter of days. The driver of the rig, however, still can't believe his eyes, or the fact that John wasn't stone-cold dead after absorbing the impact of the oncoming truck. A confirmed atheist before he'd witnessed the crash, the trucker apparently now attends church with his wife and his kids almost every Sunday since he's fallen prey to John's little practical joke. According to some accounts, John had this other odd habit of resurrecting his dead friends just to converse with them again in this world. I kid you not, witnesses will swear to it. A corpse would materialize through the solid ground, reanimate into more presentable form, then be redeposited and redecomposed, I guess is the word I'm looking for, into the box out of which it had come. All this after a lively session of How Do You Do with Crazy John. John had been quoted as saying that this resurrecting power of his would only last for a short period of time, so he mainly used it for demonstration purposes, solely to silence his more verbose and obnoxious critics. He'd laugh at how easily it would shut them up once and for all. So he said, or so others say, or whatever. So, was John a modern-day Gilgamesh? Who knows? Apparently, neither he nor the old man who allegedly had fed him the enchanted potion originally is still around today to verify these tales. Here I have to end the story, so believe what you can of it and leave the rest. I've never met John personally or the old healer, but I, too, suffer from a series of aches and pains.